So welcome to the Janus Project. What I'm doing in this video series is I'm working my way through this website right here, which is an old web archive video series called BibViz, and I don't know how long it's been offline, but you can still access it through the Wayback Machine, which is webarchive.org, and then you can go on from there. What I've done is I've clicked on one of the links. Normally I just kind of go blind. I haven't really read through this yet, but I saw this one and it was impressive. So as you can see, there you go. This is a massive, massive swath connecting all the way back from Genesis all the way out till almost Revelation and then back. And so what this website has a problem with is it has a problem with context. There are some Bible contradictions that require a bit of research. They require some looking at and going, I don't have a great answer, but I'm pretty sure this is how you explain it. Some of these are a little easier to do, and the reason comes down to if you have the context right, all of the contradictions evaporate. So let's take a look at this one. This is one. The question is it okay to take oaths? And so you can see that up here in the top corner. You can see the highlighted lines on the grid, and as we scroll down, the initial answer would be yes. So Genesis 21:23, now therefore swear unto me here by God, that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kingdom, the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land where thou hast sojourned. Okay, Genesis 24:2-9, Abraham makes some covenants. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us, and Jacob swear by the fear of his father Isaac. So what you got is you've got several guys who are saying, like, you agree not to attack me, or you agree to do this, or you agree to uphold this agreement between us. And God clearly makes covenant and oaths with humans, so God actually binds himself in such a way. But then you have these guys who also make these covenants, make these agreements. And he said, swear unto me, and he swore unto him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. And so again, you've got these illustrations. I would use the comparison to be something like this. I made an oath to my wife, okay? And so I've got my vows written out, and I made commitments to say, I will uphold these. And what it is those things keep me in check for those days when I don't feel like doing it. The vows come into play to say, but you made a vow, so keep your word. And so that's the key here. God wants you to keep your word. And there are times, especially in the Old Testament, where God will make a vow with a human, or God will note that humans made vows with each other. And so that's the gist of this entire Old Testament swath. So Psalm 63:11, but the king shall rejoice in God; everyone that sweareth by him shall glory. And so you're basically covenanting yourself, but you notice even here, but the mouth of them that speak lies. And so there's a level of, there are people who will use I'll do this, by God I will do this. Well, you're not telling the truth, though. You're using that as something to get people to believe you, but we don't really believe you. And so God's key here is tell the truth. All right. So anyway, we scroll down, and there are two passages noted. The first one here is, but I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, etc., etc. Okay, and so I want you to just note, they're not looking at the context. They are literally pulling. It's in the middle of a sentence, because you can see a colon floating here at the end of this phrase. And so there is a level of, why don't you finish what he's trying to say? And then James 5:12, and above all these things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, lest you fall into condemnation. Again, both of these are going to require some context. All right, and so what I've done is I've opened up both of these contexts. I want you guys to see how this looks. Let me give you a little bit of background. Matthew 5 is the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is talking, and he's giving a lot of applications, and what he's doing is he's saying, okay, here are some things you've been taught by your rabbis. And specifically, back in that day, you had the rabbis who would come and they would add to scripture. And so there was this thing called the Korban rule, where, God said, take care of your parents. And these rabbis came along and said, well, you can give all of your money to the temple, and it'll be called Korban. It's a gift. And then when the time comes to take care of your parents, then you can say, oh, I can't use my money to take care of you because I've already given it all to the temple. And so Jesus would look at that tradition that they added to the Bible and say, okay, this Korban rule, this gift rule, you say, oh, it's a gift, and so you use that as an excuse not to take care of your parents. that's actually sinning. And so what he's doing is he's saying it's not wrong to give to the temple, but if you're giving to the temple so you can get out of serving your parents, you're actually breaking the scriptural law. And so he goes through some of these things, think not, so we'll hop back to verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. All right. And so he's laying out like this is why I am here. For verily I say unto you that till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. I've linked a book in a previous video on those so-called errors, which is a book written by Chester Koulis, which goes deeply into the meaning of this verse. The gist of this verse is really simple. The jot and the tittle were the smallest pieces of letters, and what Jesus is doing, whether he's speaking completely literally or hyperbolically, the point still stands. He's saying the slightest bit of the law will not pass away until everything is fulfilled in it. So he's advocating this idea that you can't just get rid of parts of the Bible. It will last until it's fulfilled. Okay, so that's the gist. And then he says, okay, so since we have all the law, since the law will not fall away, whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men to do so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven. So he's drawing on the stereotype that was present for the scribes and Pharisees to say, you need to be that level of holy. Now we know from other passages that they weren't really that holy, but he's drawing on their understanding of these religious leaders. Now, what he then does is he starts going through some of the traditions that they had and some of the things that he says, okay, but I'm going to clarify this because you have misunderstood. And so what he's doing is he's digging into some of these teachings to say, yes, the Bible says this, but your traditions have then taken what the Bible said and gone way beyond or twisted the point that I was making. And so I'm clarifying these things so you understand. So he said this, you have heard it said in old times, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill be in danger of the judgment. Okay, so he's saying, yeah, like the tradition teaches you don't kill, and the Bible teaches you don't kill. And then, traditions and all this stuff comes along and says, if you kill, you're in danger of judgment. But I say unto you, whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. Whosoever shall say unto his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. And so what he's doing is he's taking it a step further to say, not only are you in danger if you break the law, but if your heart is moving in such a way that it would lead you to break the law, you're also in danger. And so we talked about that verse on a previous episode. And he says, therefore, if thou bring thy gift to an altar, and rememberest that thy brother has aught against thee, leave thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. And so what he's doing is he's saying, you may not have murdered your brother, but if your brother is at odds with you, you need to go make that right. I don't want your sacrifice. Like, I demand a tithe and I demand all these things, but I don't want it unless you're right with me. So what he's doing is he's not about the service and he's not about the ceremony, he's about the heart. Now he goes further and he says, agree with your adversary quickly while you are in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and you be cast into prison. Verily I say unto you, you shall not come out till you pay the utmost farthing. So he's advocating this heart of being at peace with your brethren. Then he goes on to the next one. He says, you have heard it said of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable to thee that thy member should perish, and not thy whole body should be cast into hell. And so he's saying, this is a really serious situation that you might say, well, I've never committed adultery. I've never actually committed the adulterous act with someone. But if your heart is leading you in an adulterous manner, you need to get that right before you commit the act. All right. And he says, if the right hand offend you, cut it off. And so these body parts that are going to lead you into sin, it would be better to cut them off and go into heaven maimed, if that were the case, than to go to hell and have all of them there. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let it give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. And so he's saying, there is an allowance in the Old Testament for divorce and potentially even remarriage. But I'm not agreeing. I'm not saying you should do that. In fact, I'm saying if you put away your wife without a cause, which is fornication, you are actually causing her to commit fornication because she's going to go off and get married to someone else, and that's not right in the context of the verse. There's more to it, but I'm not getting into that. And so what he's doing is he's clarifying their traditions to say there is more to this than meets the eye. Then he says, again, you have heard it said, in old time you shall not forswear yourself, but shall perform unto learn thine oaths. Okay, so he's saying like don't be one who rushes around to make all these vows with everybody. Now look what he says, but I say unto you, don't even bother swearing at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatever comes more of this is of evil. And so you notice he's not saying don't swear by God, all right? He's saying don't swear by heaven. So you can't be like, I swear that as long as heaven is above me, that no, like you're treading into areas that you're not able to control. So don't do that. Don't swear by earth, don't swear by Jerusalem, don't swear by your head. Like, so don't swear by anything that you don't have control over. And what's kind of the fascinating part here is you notice in the Old Testament the guys are going to swear by God, all right, who's ever living. Basically, if God ever fails, then this thing will fall apart. All right. Now he's just saying you're better off just not doing that at all. But there is a level of we are going to have oaths and we're going to keep our oaths. So you notice this context is specifically talking about things that you have no control over. You shouldn't be swearing by them because heaven could change and your hair could change and city of Jerusalem, just don't do it. Like, you don't need to come up with this big fancy language. Just say yes or no and keep your word. You don't have to get flowery about this. And that's the gist. You don't have to keep adding flowery language to make your point. To go to the James passage, all right, and again he talks about go to now, you rich men. And so again we're referencing here, so James, all right, and above all things, my brethren, so he's laying out, be patient, therefore be patient, grudge not one against another, brother, unless you be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Take, my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, as an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy that endure. You have heard of the patience of Job, and you have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, nor by earth, neither by any other oath. Okay, so you can see he's very much mirroring what Jesus said in Matthew 5. He even uses some of the same examples. Don't swear by these things you have no control over, but let your yea be yea and your nay, nay, lest you fall into condemnation. Because again, if you say, like, I promise it will happen, and I swear up and down, and I will, it's like, if you can't control it, you can't swear by it. You can't guarantee that this is going to happen. And so that's where in the Old Testament you see a lot of people promising, like, yes, I will do this. Yes, I will take care of your family. Yes, I will make this agreement. And that was a cultural thing. That's what they did. But you didn't see them, let's swear by Jerusalem and let's swear by this. And again, let your yea be yea, let your nay, nay, lest you fall into condemnation. And so what this is doing, it's mirroring the same thing Jesus said, where you guys gotten extremely flowery with your language. You've come up with all these things, and you're trying to use loopholes and little twists of language. Just say what you mean, and mean what you say. Don't get all this. Just think about how politicians talk, and you'll understand why he's saying, don't swear, just tell the truth. And so that's why I look at this and I say it's not a contradiction. It's a context thing. It's more of a clarification thing because you have a lot of things. And again, some of these verses, thou shalt swear, the Lord liveth, and in truth and judgment, in righteousness, and the nations shall bless themselves in him. Again, I don't think they're taking that entire context, and they're doing the Strong's Concordance method of, ooh, I saw the word swear, I saw the word oath, let's go with it. But again, look at the context, and you'll see that this is not a contradiction. If anything, it's a clarification, it's an adjustment, it's something that they're trying to say, stop doing this, you're just making it harmful. So, guys, a little longer of an episode, but I wanted to clarify that. And so again, this is the quality of research that is there. and that's why I don't take this website too seriously. But you should notice that there is an answer to these supposed contradictions.